Hello there and welcome to Sochi for the qualifying notebook for the Russian Grand Prix. Bright and beautiful Sochi. It feels brighter than anywhere else I've ever been on the planet, and I have no idea why. But the sun was, if you know, by the way, why it's so bright and sunny, it's just the intensity of the sun. It's just more than anywhere else. Let me know. I don't suppose you would know. Kimi Räikkönen has just left the pen, the man on P2, but we normally start with Mercedes, don't we? Because they're ahead in the pit lane, number one in the pit lane, and we do the notebook in that order. Have you ever noticed that? But because he's on pole, and because that is such an unusual thing to happen, I thought we'd start with little Sebi Vettel, shall we? Not so little, both in talent, stature and position, because he's number one at the front. Let's start with Sebastian. He left it late, didn't he? He obviously went out, did his lap earlier than Kimi Räikkönen and the two Mercedes. And once said to his engineer Riccardo Adami on the radio, you might have heard him say this, okay, tell me what's happening, what's happening? He was like, hang on, Sebastian. So there was this agonizing bit of silence before they came through and said, P1. And he went, yes, you know, the usual Italian that he's still learning, grazie ragazzi and all of that. And very happy, even though he did leave it late. Now, reasons for why Ferrari are on pole. Well, drivability is good. The engine, much better than before, and acing the last sector, and the tyres. So is that 3 or 4? Anyway, 4 reasons, 3 or 4 reasons why they're on pole. Sebastian said it was actually difficult in Q2 for him. He lost his rhythm somewhat, and that's why the Mercedes maybe gave a bit of a false hope for their fans and the team, indeed, as to whether they would actually be on pole. But Vettel said that it was just that he lost his own rhythm in Q2, and that put him off, but at least it gave him some good lessons as to what not to do or what to do in Q3. He said it's a great achievement for us. We improved the car. The whole garage is full of joy. Vettel said that Bottas will be a factor tomorrow. So it's interesting to me that he singled out Valtteri, obviously because he's the higher Mercedes on the grid, but he was looking at Bottas's race pace presumably as well when he said that. I was thinking about it when he said it. We're free to race between us, me and Kimi. We'll see how the race goes. Mercedes looks strong in race team, as indeed they did, but he's just underlined that, what I was saying earlier, as to why they're on pole. It's the corners that are good for us, even though Ferrari have improved their engine, their power unit, so it's good in Sector 1 and Sector 2. They really aced Sector 3, or you could say that Mercedes messed up Sector 3. Look at it both ways. But the car is drivable in the corners as well. It's better for Ferrari, he said, if it's warm and sunny, whereas Bottas said, I prefer the cold. Well, indeed, you look at China, the race that they've won, and that was indeed freezing, wasn't it? Let's talk about Bottas for a sec, Bob, just seeing as we're here. He was saying, well, Ferrari are just doing better than us. There's no other way of looking at it. We improved this Mercedes from yesterday, but not enough. But tomorrow, the race is a different story, and we think that our race pace is very good once we've got the temperature of the tyres calmed down and connected front to rear. That's the issue. Once all the tyres are nice and hot and warm and sticky and doing their stuff, then Bottas said, we are in business. So we'll see if that comes to pass. Does he look particularly worried to you? I think he looks rueful, maybe. Rueful of a better chance. Toto Wolff said that he thought that Bottas lost pole today. He said that he lost all his time in the last sector, and that cost Bottas pole, which I thought was a little harsh, but there you go. Toto also said, ouch. What, Bob? Come here. What? Are we in the way of Kai or something? You right, Kai?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Cool glasses.
Yeah, my glasses. You love them?
Like a, you know? Is that like a sort of like a strip, you know, on the
no, it's 16,
on the
16 to 9, and I guess
16 by 9.
16 by 9, and then we will watch the Joshua Klitschko fight tonight on this. And what do you think?
Joshua Klitschko. Is there another brother? It's called Joshua Klitschko.
Because you're covering and we are covering.
That's
so what do you think? You're an expert.
Joke.
Tell me. Yeah, you're very funny, actually.
Yeah.
One of the funniest English guys in the whole paddock, I swear.
Well, obviously the gold medalist isn't a gold medalist for no reason, and he's going to win because he's the Olympic gold medalist. Is it true that Klitschko just wants to beat him because it would be the only time that somebody has beaten a gold medalist twice in... have I got that right?
I think he just wants to beat him because he want to get his belt back.
Because of the money and the championship.
Yeah, the money is not important
Oh.
for him. I don't think so. But I think it's very late in his career, so it's maybe his last chance. But
Really?
Joshua is a hard hitter. He's a good strategist.
Right.
So it will be a real tough one. It's like you challenging me, you know.
Well, Kai, there would only be
I have
one
the
winner
golden
in
shoes.
that.
I have the golden
But,
shoes already.
You do, you do. I'm not a big fan of the old boxing game, I have to say. But
I know, yeah. So sorry for
I'm a
that.
lover rather than a fighter.
So I
There
stopped
you go.
bothering you now, and
Okay, no,
I
I'll
have a
stop
date
bothering
with
you.
Vladimir Putin now. Okay, see
good,
you.
Right, lovely. I'm so glad I embarked on that interview. So, yeah, that was Valtteri that we covered. Now, is it an issue that they've got a long wheelbase, or rather, due to their long wheelbase, that's hurting them in the last sector? It could be. It might be a factor. I think it's more likely just that they overcooked the tyres and the grip wasn't there for them in the last sector, because we saw all of that squirming around, didn't we, with the Mercedes guys. The handling just wasn't really there for them in the final sector. They did find answers to their overheating tyres at the Bahrain test at Mercedes, but that doesn't really apply here this weekend because, as we said, it's just that imbalance in the tyre temperature and the fact that the Ferrari seems to be a less sensitive car, more drivable, more easier to drive. It's just simple as that. Really is. Comes down to simple as that. This is a sensitive Mercedes, and on a track like this, lots of technical corners, which is a nice way of saying just left and right 90 degrees. Then it just becomes a little harder for Bottas and Hamilton to do what they want to do with it. As for Lewis Hamilton, he put it very clearly. He's fourth on the grid, by the way. Bottas third. Sorry if I didn't mention that. Not quick enough today. We lost due to a little bit of oversteer in the last sector. And he lost half a second, indeed. Hamilton lost half a second in the final sector. So a indication, if any was needed, that past performance is no guarantee of future success. So we've got some Ferrari fans here. I'm sure they're very happy. Very happy. Very happy.
Yes,
Kimi and Sebastian, is that to create arguments in the family? Or?
no.
Oh, just Ferrari.
A little bit. We don't talk about it. So.
Lovely owl earrings, madam. I love them. My daughters would love them.
Yeah, I saw my shoes. Did you?
Oh, yeah. Hey, look at the shoes. Oh, you obviously love owls as much as my kids. Yeah,
So
fantastic.
Formula One and owls are my thing.
Yes. You must like Ross Brawn. Oh, never mind. Right, so let's move on. Rachel's here. She might have an answer that I was trying to get from Fernando Alonso. Why did he say unbelievable?
So it was really strange. He said unbelievable because the car was so good, although it sounded negative when he said it on the radio. And then he said he thinks they're losing around 3 seconds a lap on the straights, but through the corners it's amazing and he's driving brilliantly. And so he said to me it was in a positive way. I just didn't hear it quite the same way on the radio. I don't know about you.
No, he was saying, we're suddenly going forwards to Honda, McLaren, it's slightly odd. He was saying, the car is absolutely perfectly balanced,
I heard that
nicest
message.
car, nicest car he's had round here. But I think he was saying unbelievable, that's, and it's only good enough for 14th or 15th. He ended up 14th. Bear with me. 15th, yes. K-Mag was 14th, sorry.
Yeah, I did. Well, I wondered whether he'd got stopped or blocked or anything, but no, he was actually, I think you're right. I think this is all we can get out of it, yet it feels so amazing.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yep. So who else have we got here? As the pen is gradually disbanding as Sebastian, happy Sebastian gives his final thoughts. Just check I've done enough. Go for a walk, Bob, see what you can do. If I didn't make it clear, Sebastian Vettel first, Kimi Raikkonen second. There was this issue where Sebastian got in Kimi's way in Q2, and Dave Greenwood, Kimi's engineer, had to apologise to him on the radio again. He said, sorry, we slightly messed up the sequencing then. But Sebastian said, look, if I am in front of Kimi, tell me sooner and I'll get out of his way very cleanly. But anyway, it didn't actually have anything to do with it, make any difference anyway. And I was going to try and show you Kimi Raikkonen's new tattoo. He has got a arm tattoo on this arm, I believe, just above one of the sort of Maori squiggles and stuff, of the likeness of his son Robin, who I believe he calls Aceman rather than Iceman. Aceman, see? Or other people call him Aceman anyway. And it's a lovely tattoo. So it is, of course, an image frozen in time and permanent, as tattoos tend to be, of he is more or less now. So he's a cute kid, and he's got. So Kimmy's got. Maybe when we get to a hot race, I'll give you a shot of it. It's it's charming. It's lovely. Good. And the other thing was with the walk like an Egyptian. Just in case any of you were wondering why Sebastian has been doing the Bangles walk like an Egyptian. And by the way, sorry if any of you watched Paddock Uncut and I referred to Jane Weedlin as a member of the Bangles, where she is in fact a member of the Go-Go's with Belinda Carlisle. Sorry about that. Susanna Hoffs I was thinking about. Sebastian said there's no real story behind it. I wondered whether it might be that his daughters, Emily and Matilda, like listening to Walk Like an Egyptian. He thought he'd do the little dance for them on the TV or on the podium. He said no real reason. I just liked the song and I thought I'd do it. It felt good when I did it for the first time in Australia, and so I did it again when I won in Bahrain. A Austrian powerhouse to chat here. Probably the three most famous men in Austria: Alexander Wirtz on the right, Ernst Hausleitner in the middle, and Niki Lauda on the left-hand side. If you had Gerhard Berger in here, you'd have the quadruple, wouldn't you? I'm afraid I don't know who Niki's friends here on the left-hand side. They're obviously important guests, but I'm not sure I know. But yeah, Niki. You know, this is the fight with Ferrari, I think, that Niki has been looking for and excited about over the last few years. For him, it's all about the battle. His heart is always with Ferrari, says Niki, but his head and his job are with Mercedes. And I think that's really getting him excited. He looks excited, doesn't he? Doesn't he? Yes, he does. Anything else about all of that? No. Ferrari? Yeah, no, I don't think I've got anything else. So we will do a Red Bull, where you can have a look at this very in-depth conversation here, Bobby, between Dr. Helmut Marko and Christian Horner, and that's Ricciardo 5th and Max Verstappen 7th. And if that sounds like a bit of a big gap between Ricciardo and Verstappen, it's not when you consider there's only 2/10 in it. It's just very tight in the middle of the pack. It is actually Red Bull's best performance here in qualifying in all the 4 years that they've been coming here, believe it or not. But it wasn't so good. It doesn't quite so look when it looks at being 5th and 7th. This you will see later in our show, and Sebastian keeping his cool sunglasses on, even though we are very definitely in the shade, and Simon asking him all sorts of smart questions, I'm sure. But that's lovely, isn't it? That's a strange sort of leap in time. You'll see that in tomorrow's show, by the way. Anyway, he's off. I'm sure he won't be asking him inane questions about why he does the walk like an Egyptian dance. Anyway, just tell you more about Red Bull. It is damage limitation, unfortunately, for them this year. Not this year, sorry, this race, before they get the improved package in Barcelona. That's the huge upgrade package: new floor, new rear wing, new front wing as well. Step on the engine, they hope. They are missing downforce at the moment, and the stability is poor as well, so they have to work very much on that. This is a nice image. Why don't you go back, Bob, to Ferrari and see Arriva Bene giving a little hug, and Ferrari getting welcoming their victorious driver back, because of course it's the first pole they've had in absolutely yonks. Well, I'll just continue about Red Bull quickly. So yeah, there wasn't too much grip out there today, and in fact grip was something that Daniel Ricciardo had on his mind when I spoke to him on Thursday, when he said something quite unbelievable. I couldn't quite believe that he said it. He said, do you know what, in this year's Red Bull, even though we've had these new aero rules and, you know, bigger diffuser, bigger front wings and rear wings and all of that, there's not much more grip than there was in last year's Red Bull. You know, and from the tyres as well. Wow, okay, I thought that was an amazing thing to say. But say it, Ricciardo did. So that gives you some sort of insight into how much this Red Bull is really lacking at the moment. Let's see what Sebastian had to say. I'm just down here. Simon, what did he say? How was he? Was he good?
Yeah.
Am I chasing you?
Yeah.
No.
Are we on the... Right, we're live, yes.
No, well, we're not. We're as live.
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
don't
You
say-
don't get along, do you, with him? You're always
who?
in a rush, and I'm always standing in the wrong position with Sebastian. So if you stand in the wrong position with Sebastian, then Britta will move you around, as you well know, but that was quite hectic.
But you were just talking... Well, it's run-of-the-mill for my kind of thing, for us kind of thing, people down here.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
you were felt uncomfortable with us
walk in
walking
your
down?
shoes.
No, you were dominating the paddock walking down with him. It looked good.
And then got right in movie star shot. They'll be really happy with me. Beautiful.
Well, that's just the way it goes. It's the nature of it here, and it's all the cut and thrust of the paddock.
I'm looking forward to your piece with Bottas tomorrow.
Yes. What was it? Giant penguin.
Hairy penguin.
Thank you very much. Bless you.
See you later.
Charming, wasn't he? So I think that's about it. Do watch, by the way, tomorrow. It's going to be, well, the first one today, the Bottas piece, was more the sort of reflective, getting to know Valtteri. But tomorrow is just a little more kind of getting under his skin. We turned up late for the second day and see if I could get him a little bit angry. And he did get a bit angry, but, you know, just it's a few more surprises tomorrow. Right, I will tell you something. Jock Clear, I don't know where he is. He was so happy on the Ferrari pit wall. So after it was confirmed that they had pole position, I looked at him and he went yes, like that. So it really clearly meant a lot to Jock Clear, obviously because he beat his old team, Mercedes, and he knows how good they are in qualifying. Right, we've already done 15 minutes, so that is a bit of a calamity. So let's quickly do Williams, and then we'll take a break. We'll do Force India. Well, let's do Williams now, and that's Perez. Sorry, let's do Williams now. Edit. That's Massa 6th and Lance Stroll 12th, but he goes up to 11th with the penalty for Sainz, and it's good for Massa to split the Red Bulls, and he was only 5/100ths ahead of Max Verstappen, so he really did pull it out the bag, Felipe Massa, to get that 6th place. As for Lance Stroll, 8/10ths off Felipe Massa, so clearly still learning a bit, but the Stroll family holding court very much. With the bruschetta out at Williams here. And we'll just do Force India quickly before the break. With Sergio Perez 9th, there was probably a little bit more there, but it was a good result. And best ever for Esteban Ocon in Formula One, 10th. And they were saying, Otmar Zafnauer was saying yesterday, what they need to wait for is for Ocon to get up to Sergio Perez's speed, and certainly his ability to score big points in races, and for their Barcelona upgrade, and then they will be much better. They're a bit better here anyway because it's quite flat, and they tend to run the car quite stiff, that they need to do to get the aero performance out. They don't go too well over bumps. And the other thing I said I would say is that they've got some people, some team members who are doing a walk in the fast lane. Now, I did this. This is all slightly awkward, but hello everybody. So is it three lads who work in composites? Is that right? Yes. Right. Yes, good. Victoria will know, apparently. Is that right? 3 lads who work in composites, right. And they are doing what we did in the camper van a couple of years ago. They're doing all 8 UK teams in... Do you want to say? Sorry, you're saying the whole thing.
Oh, no, sorry, I was explaining it to them.
I know, but if you're explaining it to them, then you might as well explain it to us.
Yeah, so they're walking from each of the UK F1 bases across the Silverstone weekend, ending at Force India.
Okay, good. And if you want to, it's all for a great cause. It's all for Click Sergeant.
Yes.
The Kids Cancer Charity?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Brilliant cause. So if you want to sponsor them or join them, because they are accepting walking pals, is that right? Yeah. Anybody who wants to come along, then look on Twitter. I'm not very good at this. And what do you search for? A walk in the fast lane or something? Right, okay. So search Twitter for a walk in the fast lane. Good. And on that note, we'll take a break. More Notebook in a second. Hello again, welcome back to Sochi for the Russian Grand Prix qualifying notebook. Now, where do we get to? McLaren Honda, and they've got, we're just sort of preparing here for their press conference a little bit later, which is local time in a little bit, with both the drivers. They'll meet the team at 5:30 local time with Eric Boulier and Mr. Hasegawa, Yusuke Hasegawa. I don't know why we always refer to him as Mr. Hasegawa, because that's kind of what you do with senior Japanese engineers, apparently, but Yusuke is his first name. Anyway, Yusuke was saying that, or Mr. Hasegawa was saying to me yesterday that they do have very ambitious targets for next year on the old power front, and they are indeed for this year they've got ambitious targets, which will please Fernando Alonso, I'm sure. But the problem at the moment has been that they've had so many reliability problems, the cause of which, of course, you can go into, a long time as a design or working processes or whatever, that they should have sorted all of these things out earlier in the season. They're now getting the performance together, which is what they should have done in pre-season testing. So they are, 3 months at least behind schedule. So all the issues they're having now and the test that they're doing in Bahrain last week is all stuff that they should have done in Barcelona in February and March. But they are, if they reach their targets, then they'll be up with Mercedes. Well, they hope to be up with Renault and with Ferrari and Mercedes. So they are very ambitious targets. But we've heard that unfortunately before. Fernando Alonso only 15th. Stoffel Vandoorne back of the grid because he's 17th in qualifying, but he gets 15th place penalty. And of course, when they bring all these new engine parts, they'll start getting even more grid penalties because they're putting these bits in the car as well. Stoffel, a difficult race ahead, he said, with our power deficit. Well, you can say that again, starting from the back of the grid. And Fernando, we've already heard what he was saying to Rachel. And in Q1, he was saying P14 was the best that we have because the lap was perfect, there was good grip and a good balance. And then in Q2, it seemed he did exactly the same thing. The car was nicely balanced, but of course that inherent lack of power means that he was only 15th, and that, he was saying clearly, was unbelievable. I try my best, we get the car nicely set up, get it beautifully balanced, which is hard enough to do, and then we're let down by the fact that there aren't enough horses in the back, if you like. But yeah, bit of a grim place at the moment, but hey, they'll get it together. Will Fernando stay for next year? I'll find out. Increasingly, everybody thinks that he won't. Will he go to Renault? People think he might. As we said in Bahrain, Mercedes aren't going to have him while Hamilton is still there. But if Hamilton leaves, then Mercedes might have to get him in. But I think it's more likely, I'm wondering, with the way that Alonso is talking about his Indianapolis adventure, that he might leave Formula One next year completely. He seems to be getting a little bit... I don't know. I mean, if his options are decreasing, then does he stay in an improving Renault, bearing in mind that he wants to do Le Mans, we think, and that's going to have to be next year, isn't it? Because he hasn't got a seat for Le Mans this year. So if we assume that he's going to do the Le Mans 24 hours, maybe with Porsche or whoever, try and win that as part of this quest to be the best driver in the world by doing the Triple Crown, then does he want to do a whole WEC season with Porsche, maybe? And of course, if he doesn't win Indy this year, he said he will come back and try and win Indy next year as well, in 2018. So I'm just wondering whether we might be seeing, which would be a tragedy, Fernando's last season in Formula One, either ever or for the time being this year, which would be a terrible way to go out. I very much hope he doesn't, because I like to think that a driver of his calibre, I'm strangely transfixed by this, a driver of his calibre would have another F1 championship in him. Indeed, he does as well. But we might be seeing the last of Fernando in F1 this season, or rather at the end of this season. Wow, that would be a big thing, wouldn't it? I hope I'm proved wrong on that. Right, Sainz, he was 11th, but will start 14th with the grid penalty, and Kvyat, he was 13th and will go up to 12th. Sainz felt the grip going away in Q2, which he needs to investigate, and Kvyat was out-qualified just by mere hundredths. And that's why he's down there behind his teammate, or rather was before the penalty, with oversteer. Oversteer is that problem. If he didn't have so much oversteer, he would have got into Q3. So it is very, very tight. I'll just tell you about all of these times, and cheers to you too, sir. So this Perez, Ocon, Sainz, Stroll, Kvyat thing. So Ocon had a, well, if I start with Kvyat on a 35.968, Stroll on a 35.964, and then Sainz on a 35.948. So it is just a matter of a couple of hundredths covering all three drivers. So unlucky Danny Kvyat, he didn't manage to get, and he was frustrated, wasn't he, to get no higher than that. Now Haas F1, and a very, very, very disappointing qualifying for Romain Grosjean, because he actually qualified last of all, 20th, which I missed at the time. Wow, actually goes up to 19th with Vandoorne's penalty, but not happy with the car at all, hasn't been happy all weekend. He was done by the yellow flags for the Wehrlein and Palmer's spin at the end of the session, wasn't able to improve, and has, I don't know how Günther Steiner has been taking his outbursts on the radio, but yes, but I just think Roman needs to calm down, as much for his own sanity as his team's equilibrium as well. But I'm sure they'll be having another word with him about that, because he has been losing his cool, losing his temper on the radio throughout the whole weekend. And the reason that they've gone, well done, sir. The reason that they've gone down from the carbon industry brakes that they were trying out, or carbon industry brake material, I should say, just the pads and the discs, from Friday, back to Brembo today was because they found out that they couldn't cool the brake system that they have and the brake ducts that they have couldn't cool the carbon industry material sufficiently to actually last the race. So really, it wasn't a choice. They had no choice at all. If they're going to hope to finish a race, K-Mag or Romain Grosjean, then they had to go back to Brembo, because if they carried on with carbon industry, they wouldn't have finished the brakes. They would have overheated and failed. So a very good reason there. Let's do Renault, shall we? And star of qualifying for me has to be Nico Hülkenberg. Another top performance with 8th. And that's he felt all that they could do, even though Hulk got involved in that fight for position with Lewis Hamilton, which compromised both of their first attempts in Q3. But anyway, Sergei Sirotkin here, if you didn't know, but just talking to them. It's frustrating really. But otherwise, is that Sergei Sirotkin? It is. Anyway, as for Jolyon Palmer, 16th. So not his fault. Well, the things that weren't Palmer's fault were the engine failure and the today, and having to change the chassis with his engineers, with his mechanics putting in a long shift on Friday. What was his fault seemingly was trying a little bit too hard and putting it into the barriers, meaning a fair bit more work for the mechanics as well overnight. So that was unfortunate for Jolyon. But they don't have a T-wing. If you wonder why Renault doesn't have a T-wing on the back, their technical director Nick Chester told me he felt they didn't produce enough downforce to make up for the drag, the increased drag that he felt that it would affect on the car. So that was why Renault, like Red Bull, do not run a T-wing. And finally, we can do Sauber, where Marcus Ericsson, well, it's all going off down here, isn't it? Marcus Ericsson, 19th, but will start 18th with the penalty for Van Dorn. Struggled, had to abandon his last attempt after the spins at turn 3. And, or rather, the spins, Wehrlein, his teammate, and Palmer. Wehrlein was 18th, but will start 17th. So 17th and 18th is pretty much standard for Sauber, even though they showed a little bit better in Bahrain. But they have a new brake system I want to tell you about. They found it at the test. It's not a new brake system inherently, it's just the new way that they're running their brakes. And they found it at the test, and it is better for them. But Ericsson admitting here this weekend that the fact that they're running last year's Ferrari engine is affecting them more gravely than he ever imagined. And that's really something they're going to have to live with for the rest of the season. Right, we are out of time, so thanks very much for watching. Join us for the Russian Grand Prix tomorrow with this amazing bright sunshine. How do they do it? Why is it so bright down here? Anyway, fantastic place for a race. Nice use of the old Olympic Stadium or Olympic facilities. I wanted to take you out and have a look at some Olympic rings, but as usual, we've gone on too far and too long. So I'll say thanks very much for watching. Join us 11:30 for the build-up, including the Bottas feature, the sauna party, and the dipping into the ice pool where you can all laugh your socks off at my ridiculous nature. All right, thanks for watching. I've said it 3 times now. Bye-bye.
Enjoy Sky Sports F1 Live on all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.